Hello, this is Math Wiz Watson. My goal is to empower you. Let's look at order of operations. To start, it helps if you know how to evaluate expressions and substitution. When we evaluate expressions involving multiple terms, the rules of math don't allow us to evaluate them in just any order. We have to evaluate them in a specific order, and we call that order of operations. I'm just going to run through the four order of operations, and then we're going to go through some examples. It should be very clear at that point. The first thing we have to always do is evaluate expressions inside of grouping symbols. Those grouping symbols will be parentheses and brackets, for instance. Secondly, we evaluate the exponents, the powers. Thirdly, we multiply and divide from left to right. And the last thing we always do is add and subtract from left to right. So remember, first parentheses, last addition and subtraction. So let's look at the following example. I have 24 minus 48 divided by 8. I have three terms here, and so I have to follow the order of operation to solve this. So we know addition and subtraction is always last, so I'm going to do division first, and so that's going to give me 48 divided by 8. So 48 divided by 8, 6. So I bring the 24 down. That's 24 minus 6. So this is the only operation left. 24 minus 6, 18. And so that's following order of operation. Had we done 24 minus 48 first and then divided by 8, we would have gotten the wrong answer. And I'll leave it to you to show that the answer would not have been 18. Let's look at the next example. I have 16 plus 6 over 13 minus 2. Now this is tricky because remember we said we don't do addition and subtraction until last. But this is really 16 plus 6 in parentheses divided by 13 minus 2. So when you see a problem like this, remember this is a trick where you're having, or you can look at it this way, which would be very clear. If we use this type of division symbol, and then it'll be very clear. And we know parentheses is always first. So whenever I'm solving an order of expression, I always look for parentheses first. And so now we do what's inside parentheses first. We have 16 plus 6, 22. Parentheses goes away, divided by 13 minus 2, 11. And we know 22 divided by 11 is just 2. So let's look at another example, and feel free to try this one yourself. I have 2 times 7 plus 6 times 5. Well, we know addition is always last, so let's do multiplication and division. Well, which ones do we do? Well, we can start from, remember we have multiplication and division from left to right. So we start from the left, which is 2 times 7, 14. Addition stays there, that's last. 6 times 5, 30. And now I can do my addition. 14 plus 30, 44. So evaluate expressions for given values. In this case, if we let x equals 2, y equals 3, and z equals 4, we can evaluate the expression 2 times 5z over y minus 1 using the substitution method. So we know from the previous example that 2 times 5z over y minus 1 is just 2 times 5z divided by y minus 1. So that top part is divided by y minus 1, both in parentheses. So when we look at it that way, we have to work the parentheses first. And so we substitute, that is, we replace the variables with the given numbers. So I have 2 times 5 times 4, z is 4, divided by y is 3, so that's 3 minus 1. Now, I have quantities inside of the parentheses, but inside the parentheses in this first one, you see I have 2 times 5 times 4. It really doesn't matter when they're all multiplication. But in this case, we're supposed to start from left to right. So I'm going to go 2 times 5, which is 10 divided by 4. 10 times 4 divided by 3 minus 1, which is 2. So 10 times 4, 40, divided by 2. 40 divided by 2, 20. So let's look at the following example. And feel free to pause the video and try this one yourself. Now, we have x plus z squared minus 3 times 7. And the first thing I look at is my parentheses. So I zero in on that. The last thing I look at is my addition and subtraction. So I see I have variables. We're still using the values x equals 2, y equals 3, and z equals 4. Let's substitute those values in. We have 2 plus 4 squared minus 3 times 7. And so now I'm still working inside my parentheses. That's always first. So I have 2 plus 4, 6 squared minus 3 times 7. 6 squared is just 6 times 6 minus 3 times 7. I can work this out now and just leave it here. 21. 6 times 6, 36. Minus 21. 36 minus 21 is just 15. And so that's order of operations. All there's left to do now is practice. If this seems a little overwhelming at first, I promise you if you practice, the more you practice, the easier it gets, to the point where you have mastered this. Here's where I reveal the secret that I use to stay ahead of the competition. What I would always do on tests would be, if I finished the test early, which I usually did because I was prepared, I would go back and check my answers. I would hold on to my test as long as possible. I would make the teacher come and get my test. By that time, I would have checked my answers and guaranteed that I would have found some errors that cost me 5 to 10 points in that neighborhood. So that's almost a different letter grade. So that's a big secret that can change a bad day to a good day, or a good day to an amazing day. So click the notification bell. You'll be notified when I create another video where I reveal secrets that keep me ahead of the competition. Hopefully this video was helpful to you. Please like, subscribe, share, support.